Boys, welcome back to comics I read this week, except it's been like 2, 3 weeks. With that said, this isn't comics I read over 2.5, 3 weeks, okay? I have still been keeping track of the comics I read in a week. So technically this is comics I read in a week. Not the past week, but a week. Obviously, I'm not great at this whole YouTube thing. Even once a week videos that should be scheduled, but nonetheless, let's go over the comics I read this week and their ratings. If you didn't see the first episode, I will be giving you guys the comics I read this week. Simple as that. I'll give you a general idea of what the plot was. I'll give you my rating, and if you don't know the rating scale, it is in episode 1, so I highly advise you to go check that out. But if you haven't, it's pretty simple. It's just a 1 to 10 scale, not a typical 1 to 10 scale. Pretty much anything above, anything 5 and up is like, okay, that's a fine comic. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So first comic of the week is going to be Fantastic Four number 78, which I gave a 5 out of 10. Now this comic was not amazing. I think this is the first Fantastic Four comic that I gave a 5 out of 10. It just wasn't anything special. It was one of the many issues where Ben Grimm, turns from the Thing back to human Ben Grimm, and it ends up where that's obviously not gonna stay permanent, because it's always like, well, there were a bit of stakes in it with the idea that, okay, if you were to change back to the Thing one more time, that's it. He can never go back to Ben Grimm. So, pretty interesting story, but overall just kind of fell flat, especially for a Fantastic Four comic. 5 out of 10. Next up, following that, is going to be Fantastic Four 79. This one is right after the last one, where he does finally turn back into the Thing permanently to protect Alicia and, you know, save the day, be the hero that Ben always needs to be. This one was a little more interesting. I liked that this one actually brought the stakes into play. He's the Thing forever now. And he had to fight an android that the wizard sent out, so pretty cool. I like the story overall. 6 out of 10. Next up, following the Fantastic Four, is going to be Fantastic Four number 80. This one was pretty interesting. This was one of those where, you know, they have a kind of through line with the previous comics, and this one jumps immediately to the next thing. This one was all right. It wasn't the greatest thing ever. This one was another 5 out of 10. It stars Wyatt Wingfoot, one of Johnny Storm's kind of college buddies, and it's okay. I think a bit of that 60s racism kind of threw me off. Wasn't really a fan of that, but overall, it was all right. So 5 out of 10. Next up is going to be what I think is the highest rated comic to date, which is going to be Fantastic Four Annual number 6. This is the first appearance of Annihilus. This is the first appearance of, technically, of Franklin Richards. This was a blast. This was an awesome comic. This is what these past few comics missed. This is that classic Lee and Kirby Fantastic Four comic. It was great. Annihilus was an awesome villain. This one was fun. It actually holds some stakes. They have to go in the negative zone to get Element X from the Cosmic Control Rod from Annihilus to basically save Sue and make sure she has a healthy birth of Franklin. Obviously, they do that. But the art from Kirby in this one is absolutely stellar. Annihilus is such a cool design. Kirby does those weird, just unique designs so well. And this is just a classic Fantastic Four comic. I know it's an annual, so it's a little bit of a cop-out, it's a little bit of a cheat, they have more to work with, but nonetheless, this was great, so definitely gonna be the first 8 out of 10. Next up, we get away from the master reading order, and we head over to some new stuff that I believe came out this year, which is the What If Galactus series. Now, I do use Marvel Unlimited, so I think there's like 5 or 6 of these, but I only have access to 3 at the moment, which are really 2 of the 3 I really wanted to read. So for starters, we have What If Galactus transformed Moon Knight. This was pretty fun. I love Moon Knight as a character. I think he's really cool, and I will get into it, but of the 3 What If Galactus that I read, this was definitely the best one. It's going to be a 7 out of 10. Pretty simple story. It's obviously What If Galactus made Moon Knight his herald. Moon Knight with the power cosmic is pretty cool. I think it had somewhat of a lackluster ending. If you don't want that spoiled, you know, go read it. But overall, it was kind of cool seeing Moon Knight as a character who serves Khonshu and who serves that idea of serving a higher power, so to speak, which again, no spoilers, this does play into that idea from the very first page. It was pretty cool to see Moon Knight have to travel the galaxy with the power cosmic and serve a different type of higher being, so to speak. So this one was pretty fun overall. Lackluster ending, but nonetheless, it's going to be 7 out of 10. Next up on the what if list is going to be what if Galactus transformed Gambit. This was one that I was actually really excited for, and it let me down. It makes a lot of sense from a storytelling perspective, but this one was hard to get through. It bored me, honestly. I really like the art. Gambit's costume design as a herald is really cool. I love that kind of Kirby crinkle on his outfit, and the display of colors being infused with power cosmic I think is a really cool addition. But other than that, this doesn't have much. It was very much Galactus being like, yes, I want you to be my herald because you're a thief and you're gonna steal something for me. And he does, and then it's Galactus is like, oh, well, this isn't what I was expecting, and then that's kind of it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of a nothing burger of a story, to be honest with you, and it doesn't really fit that cosmic scale. It was a cool idea to try to have Galactus, you know, evoke some of that emotion, but overall I think it fell flat, so it's going to be a 5 out of 10 from me. Next up, and finally for this video at least, on the what if list is going to be what if Galactus transformed Hulk. Now this one was a little bit interesting because you get that sort of evil side of Hulk and that sort of no bullshit side of Hulk, which I thought was really cool. And to have someone who is already as powerful as Hulk, like Gambit, not as powerful as Hulk, Moon Knight, not as powerful as Hulk. So to have someone as powerful as Hulk be infused with the power cosmic was a really cool thing to see. And on top of that, having him kind of be able to switch from Bruce to Hulk, and you see that animalistic versus human side with the idea of Bruce going to planets and saying, listen, I can get you guys off the planet, but Galactus is going to eat it. So you either stay and die, or you get off the planet. Like, I want to help you. And it was that cool dynamic of people being like, no, we're not leaving, fuck you. And him being like, all right, well, we're still going to fuck you up. This one also, as opposed to the other two, had a more satisfying ending with Iron Man, you know, kind of saying stuff like, you're not a monster, you were smart the whole time, our bad. Like, it was cool to see Hulk emotionally get his get back, so to speak. So overall, pretty good, 7 out of 10. Going back to Fantastic Four, we have Fantastic Four number 81. This one was okay. They bring the Wizard back, and it was pretty fun. Overall, it's kind of an issue where Crystal, who is dating Johnny Storm at the time, basically kind of inserts herself and says, listen, I can be Sue Storm's substitute while she's, you know, I assume raising Franklin on her own, because Reed is out here fighting baddies. But she basically says, I can be a substitute, you gotta trust me, let me help. But there's not necessarily confidence issues, but she's kind of like, I would like to be, you know, but she's not overly eager to prove herself. Nonetheless, they fight the Wizard, she shows her powers off, the Wizard gets shitted on because he doesn't expect her to be there. Fantastic Four win, ta-da. Pretty fun, 6 out of 10. Next up is going to be Fantastic Four number 82. This one is pretty fun as we come back to the Inhumans. And the Inhumans in these old Fantastic Four comics are really cool, really fun. And I can't really complain. We do get introduction into an issue and basically find out that, you know, Lockjaw comes out of nowhere. Crystal, being part of the Inhuman royal family, is like, what the hell? So she goes, the Fantastic Four follow after her because she has proven herself prior to this issue. So they're like, no, she's one of us now, see? And they run after her and basically discover that Maximus has taken over Atalan. So they gotta deal with that. Overall, it's kind of an intro to the next issue, but it was pretty good, 6 out of 10. And obviously, like I said, the last one was the intro into this one, kind of having that through line. This is gonna be Fantastic Four number 83, where they do indeed go into Atalan, and Maximus has taken over. He has trapped all the powerful Inhumans. Medusa, Black Bolt, Triton, all these people are, you know, captured, imprisoned, and Maximus is basically just saying, I'm gonna be your ruler now. And so the Fantastic Four come in, and they basically help the Inhumans escape and fight back against Maximus, and ta-da, they win. Pretty simple, pretty standard, but nonetheless, I love these crossover comics. You can't beat that old Fantastic Four, especially when you take one of the best teams teaming up with another group. It's really fun, so 6 out of 10. Now is where things take a turn for the worst. At this point in reading, I think I was a little biased because at this point in the master reading order, I'm getting to a point where I'm about to hit the X-Men, and I haven't read X-Men in a while, so I'm excited, and I'm reading old X-Men, and it's going to take me to new X-Men. It's a whole thing. You'll see in hopefully the next video, but this is where things take a turn for the worst. We have Strange Tales number 159. Now, at this point in the comic, Strange Tales is kind of a split comic. The first, well, it doesn't really matter the order, but it's a comic shared by S.H.I.E.L.D. and primarily Nick Fury, as well as Doctor Strange. And I will say, the S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff just already isn't my favorite. I'm not a big fan. I don't know what they did, because it's the same artist for these next few comics, but this first one just, it irked me. It was so bad. I'm sorry. I understand. I respect art. I understand it's subjective, and I understand that it takes a village to produce any sort of art. But this was bad, man. The writing was bad. The story was bad. The art was bad. I was not a fan of this. 159 is going to get a 4 out of 10. Strange Tales 159, 4 out of 10. Strange Tales indeed. It basically starts with the S.H.I.E.L.D. side of things. Nick Fury is, you know, doing secret stuff, ends up fighting Captain America. They're like, good sparring match. That's pretty much it. I was bored to tears. Doctor Strange, same difference. He runs into Baron Mordo. There's kind of some cool stuff going on. I know I'm yapping, but there's kind of some cool stuff going on here with Doctor Strange at this point. Previously, he had fought Living Tribunal. Living Tribunal basically put a timer on Earth and said, not a timer, but like a little sand hourglass, but for an extended period of time. Basically put an hourglass on Earth and said, if they're still evil when this gets back, I'm destroying Earth. So now Doctor Strange has to deal with that. It's a cool premise, but at this point, it's kind of convoluted and confusing, and he has to fight Mordo, but then Mordo has this cult, but then he has to infuse all the evil from the cult, take it away and infuse it into Mordo. It's a whole thing. 4 out of 10. Next up, pretty much picks up where the last one left off. Nick Fury does some stuff. I think this is the one that introduces the character in Thunderbolts, Valentine Fontaine Allegra. You get what I'm saying. Fontaine, that's the one. Anyways, basically S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff, whatever, spy stuff, cool. Doctor Strange picks up where he last left off. Mordo is back, and him and Mordo kind of team up, and he basically says, listen, we gotta infuse you with all this power. And Mordo's like, I'm not gonna say no to that. Overall, meh, 5 out of 10. Next up is gonna be Strange Tales number 161. This one is okay. This one has a little bit more of an interesting storyline in terms of the S.H.I.E.L.D. side of things. A little tad bit of a lot of racism. So not really a fan of that. The villain is just pure racism. We're not going to talk about that, but it does bump our grade down. Not classy, you know what I'm saying? But overall, the story is pretty much super spy stuff. There's a cool fight where Fury has to kind of be secret and try to hide from people who have taken over the Statue of Liberty. He falls off the Statue of Liberty like 8 times, but then climbs back up. The whole time he's like, just gotta wait for Captain America, who never fucking shows up. So it's a whole thing, but it's pretty fun. Doctor Strange still dealing with the Living Tribunal stuff. I believe at this point he has sent Mordo into a sort of pocket dimension because he's like, listen, you soaked up their evil, and that's great, but I need to send you away so that you're off Earth, so that Living Tribunal doesn't destroy Earth. Listen, I know, this stuff's, it's a lot. 6 out of 10. And finally, for this video's list is going to be Strange Tales number 162. On the S.H.I.E.L.D. side of things, it pretty much picks up where it left off. They're fighting evil organization. And Nick Fury wears a lot of, like, really detailed masks. Like, it'll just cut to a panel of him, and it's like this old guy, and you're like, who is this? And then he's like, it's me, Nick Fury! And it's a whole thing. But in terms of the Doctor Strange side of things, this one was pretty fun. He gets rid of Mordo, and he's basically immediately sucked into this kind of pocket dimension with this girl, and there he encounters Nebulos, which is basically this cosmic being who has a staff, and he's basically like, listen, want to fight? And that's pretty much it. Doctor Strange is like, no, I don't want to fight you. And he's trying to save this girl whose name escapes me at the moment. If you really care, you can go look it up. That's going to be Strange Tales 162. I don't really know. It is what it is. But overall, not my favorite. Kind of slow on both side of things. So I'm going to be giving this a 5 out of 10. So there you have it. In our second video, I believe we have the lowest rating so far and the highest with both a 4 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10 respectively. Yeah, I know I missed a week, but I had school and now school's over and now it's transition period, okay? But hopefully from here on out, I can get on schedule and bring you guys weekly episodes of videos I read comics I read that week, because I really do enjoy doing this. It's really, really fun. Again, I just love reading comics, and to be able to combine comics with content and mesh those two worlds is really fun, even if not a lot of people watch this. If anyone watched it, I love you. Kiss you on your mouth. It's a really fun thing to do. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, kiss you on your mouth. I love you. Read comics. Keep on marveling. God damn it. See you in the next one. Goodbye. It is me, Doctor Strange.